What is going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. If you know the transmog that I'm wearing right now, then you will know. I mean, you'll know by the thumbnail and the video and the title and all that stuff. But if you didn't look at those things, then you would know we're going to talk about Ellie Shaman today. Elemental Shaman, that's right. I'm pretty excited, actually. And I think, I'm just excited to kind of go through all the different specs that I'm going to be playing in this expansion and talk about all the different builds. And there's been a build going around more recently called the Wildfire Build for Shaman. And the really cool thing about Elemental Shaman is that there are so many different builds you can run. There's like a pure lightning build you can go with double Stormkeeper or Stormkeeper Lightning Rod. There's an Ice Fury build in the middle somewhere that's probably not that good, but like it's there, and you could run it with Elemental Equilibrium and get that big buff going all the time. There is a Overload build that has to do with Mountains Will Fall. There's an Ascendance build where you can have Oath of the Farseer and Further Beyond, making your Ascendance when you can actually take Ascendance and then have it up for like a minute at a time, like literally. And then the cooldown goes down by a minute here. So instead of it being a 3-minute cooldown, if you play it correctly, it ends up being like a 1-minute cooldown. It's kind of insane. Really, really cool build that I was trying out a little while ago. This is like the final build, which is like maybe the most balanced Mythic Plus build that you can run. And it has a little bit of lightning over here, and it has a lot of fire over here. So I want to talk about this Wildfire build and show you guys on the dummies and talk about what it's all about, and I'll show you some footage as well. It's very exciting, actually, and it's a build that has a couple of sort of primary things that it does exceptionally well. It's still really, really good on AoE damage, and actually has a lot of good single target damage as well. I'm going to talk about why all those things are true. So the first most important note to talk about is the Primordial Wave Liquid Magma Totem interaction that allows you to have high amounts of Flame Shock uptime on almost every pack that you encounter. And you're going to combo LMT with Totemic Recall to it gives you the cooldown back if you didn't know that. So basically, like on the first pack, you drop Liquid Magma Totem and then you drop Primordial Wave. So it looks something like this really quick. I'll just be like, boom, like that. And then on the last guy, I get Primordial Wave. And then I can hit my Lava Burst, sorry, and it shoots at all the meatballs, right? And then I'm into my combo. Now, the whole point of this build is to try and trigger Ascendance. You're trying to trigger your Deeply Rooted right here, right? So DRE, you want that to trigger. Just like that. Boom. And then you can press Lava Beam, and you can drop big Earthquakes while you're in there. That's how the build works. You basically get your AoE damage out with Liquid Magma Totem, and then you're pressing Lava Burst as much as possible to try and trigger DRE. And as soon as you pop Liquid Magma Totem, you can pop Totemic Recall. Watch this. It'll give me the cooldown back. Boom. Gives me, like, so on the next pack, I'll have Liquid Magma Totem back up again. And there's some other really cool talents that I want to talk about. Underneath Primordial Wave is Rolling Magma, which lowers the cooldown of Primordial Wave substantially. Your Lava Burst and Lava Burst Overload damage reduces the cooldown of Primordial Wave by 1 second. So, like, on that tiny little test that I just did, we fired 8 Lava Bursts, and we had, I think, 8 Lava Burst Overloads, maybe? I can't be right. I think we might have had 16 Lava Bursts go out, which, again, is that many more chances to trigger DRE. Like, that's a ton of chances to proc Ascendance, and it's reducing the cooldown on Primordial Wave. So in Shadowlands, we had a really cool conduit that gave us a chance to have Primordial Wave refunded, where it was like you just had a chance to like get Primordial Wave back again and again and again, and you could keep launching the meatballs. This time it's more consistent in Dragonflight. You will consistently have a 20-second Primordial Wave or a 25-second Primordial Wave, or if you're really good, like a 15-second Primordial Wave, basically. So that's how the build functions. That's what it's trying to do. You're dropping Liquid Magma Totem, you're dropping Primordial Wave for that big burst of meatballs that go flying out, and you're hoping that all those meatballs are going to trigger Deeply Rooted elements, because then if you trigger DRE, it's going to send out another wave of meatballs, and you can obviously get access to Lava Beam, which does a lot of extra damage, okay? That's kind of how the build works. Here's some other important talents. Our Fire Elemental is getting buffed by Skybreakers, so all your Flame Shocks will be critting like all the time because they get 50% more crit from this, and it reduces the cooldown on your Fire Ellie so that your Fire Elemental's up all the time, and that's really important because if you look at the tooltip, Fire Elemental says your Flame Shock deals damage 33% quicker, and all your newly applied Flame Shocks have double the duration. Skybreakers buffs that further by saying your flame shocks get 50% crit. So the amount of like flame shock damage is actually pretty insane. I did a Ruby Life Pools. Look at flame shock, 14% of my damage, and look at the crit. It crits 60% of the time. That's because of Skybreakers, and again, because my Fire Ellie was up a lot, it was ticking really, really quickly. So that's that part of the build right there. It's really important to press your Fire Elemental on cooldown, have him up as much as possible. Okay. Another important talent is going to be Surge of Power. This is something that we really haven't taken, like in all of Shadowlands. We haven't taken it in a long time, but it's the go-to talent in Dragonflight. We used to take Aftershock, which says, you know, your Earthquake in AoE, your Earthquake essentially, which is the primary one, just has a chance to have its Maelstrom respent. But this is better, actually, because this Surge of Power now triggers off of Earthshock, Ellie Blast, and Earthquake. It used to just trigger off of Earthshock. Now it's Earthshock and Earthquake. So you have Surge of Power proccing all the time. All the time it's proccing. So the cool thing about that is that what it does to your other spells. So if you pop an Earthquake and then press Chain Lightning, it'll jump to one additional target, as you can see there. The big one I want to focus on is that Lightning Bolt will have 2 additional elemental overloads. This is huge in single target damage for Mythic Plus. For boss fights, this is enormous. So every time you Earth Shock, your next Lightning Bolt will trigger a bunch of times. Let me show you right here. Let's build up some Maelstrom here. So we're building here. We're going to press an Earth Shock, sorry. And it's going to, watch how many times my Lightning Bolt overloads. There's my Earth Shock. Here's my Lightning Bolt. Watch it overload. Bing, bing, bing. So then there's a 4th one. It went 4 times. Like, it's insane how many times it will hit. Like, that one Lightning Bolt hit 4 times. So Surge of Power is quite powerful in terms of buffing your single target damage, actually, in the Mythic Plus environment. Okay, finally, Stormkeeper is a part of this build. This is like part fire, part lightning, okay, this build. And the reason for that is that Stormkeeper is so powerful in an AoE environment. It's really, really powerful. Let me actually show you like what it can do on the dummies here. Right, so Stormkeeper here, a couple of things that it can do. Number one, it just does insane damage on its own, and it helps you to like bridge the gap between those moments when your Ascendance is not proccing. When you're getting really unlucky and DRE is not proccing for you, you can use Stormkeeper to do a lot of AoE damage in the middle of that. And it really smooths out your damage so that it's never really bad. Your damage is never bad with this build. Your Stormkeeper's there. If your Stormkeeper's up, you're doing a lot of damage. If your Ascendance is proccing, you're doing even more damage. Right? So it's really, really good that way. So the other thing that it can do is that if you proc Deeply Rooted Elements, your Chain Lightning turns into Lava Beam. And if your Stormkeeper buff is still up, then that Lava Beam will actually like super overload, just like the tooltip says here. So your next 2 Chain Lightnings will be instant cast and will guarantee trigger elemental overload on every target. So like you can get a Giga Chad Lava Beam that just blows everything up. So there's multiple sort of points here to be made about Stormkeeper. Let me try and do the rotation here, and I'm going to hold on to Stormkeeper for you and see if we can get that to trigger, okay? So here's the basic rotation that I want to talk about. You start with Ellie, and then you're going to pop your Liquid Magma Totem, and you're going to Primordial Wave, whatever target doesn't have a Flame Shock. I'm not sure how smart it is yet, actually, so on a real pack, you might want to do this differently, but I would just say LMT first and then Primordial Wave. Then you're mostly pressing Lava Burst. You're not really going to press Chain Lightning too much. I'm going to hold Chain Lightning for as long as I can, actually, because I'm going to have the Stormkeeper buff. So let me just show you what it looks like here. Fire Ellie, Liquid Magma Totem. There's the guy that doesn't have it. Primordial Wave, and we're going. I'm going to pop my Stormkeeper now. Okay. Now I'm holding my Stormkeeper buff in the hopes that I get a DRE proc here. Really, really hoping I do. If I don't get one, that's okay. We're going to pop 1 Chain Lightning right now because we're running out of time. And we'll pop the last Chain Lightning right there. So you can see, even if we don't get it, we still get lots of damage out of our Chain Lightning. It's not a big deal that we haven't got the DRE proc. Primordial Wave is back. Let's go again. See how fast Primordial Wave came back there? Really, really crazy. Now, I've been pretty unlucky here, so I have to start refreshing my Flame Shocks on my own. This is kind of what you want to avoid, but that's okay. I can get my totem back. I should have done that earlier. LMT's back. Let's get it back up again. There. All my Flame Shocks are up again. There we go. We get a DRE proc. Now I can press Lava Beam. I have really terrible haste on this guy. Just keep that in mind. Okay. And my Primordial Wave is back again. Wouldn't you know? Kind of insane, right? Let's cast it again. Here we go. Keep going. This is why you want to keep pressing Lava Burst, because it will trigger the cooldown reduction on your Primordial Wave, and of course it's going to trigger Ascendance. So you kind of want to put this. Stormkeeper's up. Let's press it, but let's hold it. Try and get a DRE proc here. You don't really need to do this in the dungeon. Like, realistically, you don't need to kind of hold your lightning this way, but I just think it's kind of fun to try. But anyway, we'll get it out here at the last second. There we go. There's big damage. I don't know why the game's so glitchy right now, but it's having a hard time. There's our DRE, and we'll try and get one more proc here. There we go. One more proc on our... And we get a lot of haste. There's a bunch of lava beams, so really, really cool there. We get a ton of haste during Ascendance because... Oh, no, we don't actually. I didn't take that. That's my bad. I had that on a different build. We don't actually get any extra haste. So my haste on this character is very bad, 17%. You're looking for like 25 to 30% haste, and then this build is completely nutty. But you can see the damage is pretty crazy anyway. Our Flame Shock dots are huge because of Skybreakers. Earthquake's just huge because we're casting it so many times. We had 22 Earthquakes come down. Liquid Magma Totem does a lot of damage on its own, actually. And it also, you know, the main caveat there is that it's gonna put the Flame Shocks out there, which allow you to press Lava Burst, and they're gonna allow you to trigger Ascendance multiple times. So we had Ascendance proc, I think, only twice there, maybe a little bit more, but that's how the build works in a nutshell. Let me just keep talking about it while we look at it at the footage here. Let me webcam back up, and we'll get the volume up here. So. The combos are just like really, really, really fun to pull off. Let me just say that right out of the gates. And it's very simple gameplay. You get as many Flame Shocks out as you can. And then once you've done that, you try... I got a DRE proc right at the end. Kind of sad. Once you get your Flame Shocks out, press Lava Burst to try and trigger Ascendance as much as you possibly can. That's what you're trying to do. That's the main goal. And, of course, it's also going to reduce the cooldown on Primordial Wave. And Primordial Wave is the fuel for this fire, man. It's so good. There, look at that right there. That was a huge proc. Let's go back and look at that. These things are gorgeous to look at. So right here, I'm pressing Primordial Wave. You can see it on the bottom here. Pressing it. And now I'm going to press Lava Burst, and watch this. I put down the LMT first, and boom. We got two meatballs going. Here's LMT. I'm going to press Lava Burst right here. There's the first chunk of meatballs, and then the second set goes out again because we triggered Ascendance. Our damage went from... Sorry, I'm watching this a million times. I know this is annoying. Our damage went from, like, 200k to, like, 700k. So this is what this build is capable of doing. And then I'm doing lava beams. Crazy lava beams. Just boom, boom, boom. Like, oh, my God. It's so satisfying when it goes off. Let me tell you. Keep in mind, guys, I'm only, like, 375 item level. And, again, I have abysmal haste. So this is just kind of proof of concept for you that this is how good this build can work. Let me skip ahead here. It's just really fun to play. And the big thing that makes it so much better than the Shadowlands version really is that cooldown reduction on Primordial Wave. I can't talk about how good that is enough. It's so good that you get the reduction on Primordial Wave because it means you get to cast it more often, and you're getting the haste window, the 50-60% haste window. Like, every 20 seconds, you're getting Lust, basically. Just think about that. You're getting a better Lust, double Lust, every 20-25 seconds or so. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy how good that is. Of course, on bosses, you're not going to get as many activations, but I'll show you on the first boss here how I kind of use my Primordial Wave. You can see it's coming off cooldown right now. So we pop Lust. Again, this single target damage, I want to focus on this for a second. I just cast Earth Shock. Now I'm going to cast Lightning Bolt. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Lightning Bolts came out of that from one Earth Shock. Because the regular Lightning Bolt overloaded twice on its own, and then I got, or 3 times on its own, and then I got 2 more overloads because of Surge of Power. So I can't, I mean, the single target damage is also really solid because of this Surge of Power thing. Here comes the Awakened Whelping. So I'm holding my damage here. I'm going to pop Primordial Wave on one of them, and then LMT right in the middle here. Here comes Liquid Magma Totem. Boom. And then I'm going to go Lava Burst. Here comes the Meatballs. Boom, boom, boom. Trying to get as much damage out as I can. So you can cheat some damage on boss fights that have ads like this. Not only are you cheating damage, but primarily you're cheating that haste that you're getting. Instead of only getting 10% haste, you can get 50-60% haste. And it really, I totally duffed that there. I didn't think I was going to die, actually. I didn't think I was going to get one shot by that. I greeted so hard. But you can get a lot of extra haste. There's my second LMT. I cooled down my Liquid Magma Totem with my Totemic Recall, right? Remember that. And then I got a meatball proc with the, look at this. This is insane. This is the Giga Juice. I've got Stormkeeper right here, ready to go. Okay, you can see the buff. I get an Ascendance proc, so all the meatballs go out. Now I have Giga Juice lava beams. Watch this. Meh. Friggin' fire Darth Vader here. Look at all the lava beams going out. Absolutely insane. Insane stuff right there. So much fun when that happens. That is the advantage of kind of holding on to Stormkeeper for a little bit longer, is you can get these crazy juiced moments here with your Ascendance proc. There's a Gust of Wind. I'll talk about this a little bit later on the final boss fight because it's really important. Let's skip ahead here, though. I don't think there's anything too crazy to talk about on these packs. I've mentioned most of the things I want to talk about. It's just a really exciting build. And it's got a lot of flexibility. Like, it's got good AoE damage, or single target damage, sorry, with the Earth Shocks into Lightning Bolts, as I was talking about. I think we wiped here. Yep. Bit of a yikes there. I don't know why we wiped. Let's go to the boss fight, though. You got really good Flame Shock management now with Liquid Magma Totem, and your Primordial Wave cooldown is so low that you just feel like you always have haste, like, all the time. Like, you might legitimately want to run Mastery for this build. Like, get a lot more Mastery than you're used to getting, because your Primordial Wave will just be back all the time, and it's going to give you 30, 40, 50, 60% haste. And I got another DRE proc right there. So you might not need to stack as much haste as we're kind of used to on Ellie Shaman. Maybe 20% is fine, and then go into Mastery for the rest of it. Just because Mastery will trigger overloads, and all the time, anytime you're getting overloads with this build, it's gravy. If you get overloads on your Lava Bursts, it reduces the cooldown on your Primordial Wave. If you're getting overloads on Chain Lightning and Lava Beam, they're doing crazy amounts of damage. So it's just good. It's just really, really good. This is good, too. This is 2-target cleave here, so my Primordial Wave's back. I'm going to Primordial Wave this ad over here. There it goes. Now I get 20% haste instead of 10. So this is really good. These are the kinds of little adjustments that you want to make if you're starting to play this build. Always be looking for opportunities to get a Primordial Wave going. Always be looking for opportunities to use Liquid Magma Totem on a bunch of ads if you can. The other good thing about Surge of Power is that in this situation right here, my Fire Elemental is down. So I should actually be using I should press Earth Shock into Lava Burst, really, is what I should be doing, because that'll get me my Fire Elemental back quicker. But I was using it for damage here. Not a bad decision either, necessarily, but look at this. Once again, the ad's up again. I have Primordial Wave back again. That's got to be like 20 seconds or less. So you get a bunch of extra meatballs. You get a bunch of extra haste once again. The buff just never dies. I'm just getting crazy amounts of overload procs on Lightning Bolt. It's so cool to see. I really enjoy the new Surge of Power. There's something about it that just feels right, man. I don't even know. It just feels so, so good. So we end up killing her. Let me go to the final boss here. Everybody does die, but we get it done. And you can purge these guys as well. I'm not going to do a guide to Ruby Life Pools for Shaman in this video, but just remember, as a Shaman, you can individually purge all these lightning guys, and they will immediately, like, suicide slam. They'll immediately just die in the corner there, so don't worry about that. Make sure you kick Flash Fire here. I don't think there's anything too crazy. Our damage is just really good. Like, it's just solid, consistent damage. I wasn't doing big, high bursts like you would expect in a higher key. And again, if I had more gear, if we were in a higher key, just remember, guys, all the damage would be much, much higher if that was the case. Like, when you see people doing like a plus 17 or plus 18 Algathar Academy, and they're pulling the entire tree boss area together, like, they're going to do, you know, if I was in that situation, I would be able to do crazy amounts of damage. But we're pulling slow here. We're being cautious. We don't want to wipe this key, because this is a particularly difficult key in general. So just always keep that in mind. But this damage is respectable for the eye level that I'm at and kind of where I'm at in the game. Let's get to the final boss. Right off the bat here, I'm going to pop Lust, and I'm going to Primordial Wave the dragon. And then I'm going to Flame Shock Eckhart. So again, I can get 20% more haste. Now you can see the dragon is about to breathe down my butthole. So this is really cool. This is where Gust of Wind is so huge. I can just instantly reposition in one GCD while casting Lava Burst. I'm finishing my cast of Lava Burst, and then I press Gust of Wind, and then I'm over here. Like, that is so cool. That is such an amazing little tech that you can add to your Ellie Shaman build. So make sure you're running Gust of Wind. It's really, really big for Ellie Shaman, because it allows you to kind of greed that last cast before you move. And that is important for all casters. Greeding on damage is really, really important. So what do I think about this build? I think Elemental Shaman is really fun. I think there's flexibility here with this build. Your AoE damage is covered with Stormkeeper, and your procs off of Ascendance. You can get easy uptime on your Flame Shocks because of Liquid Magma Totem and Totemic Recall, bringing it back. Just amazing AoE damage, consistent throughput there all the time. All of these things
are pushing towards you proccing Ascendance. They all work together for the one mission, which is to proc Ascendance. And if you proc Ascendance, you refresh all your Flame Shocks, you send out all those meatballs, you get a whole bunch of extra damage, and you can cast Lava Beam. If you have Stormkeeper going, your Lava Beam becomes Giga Chad Lava Beam, and you can just, like, roast everybody for crazy amounts of damage. There's single target flexibility with the ability to either cool down your Fire Elemental or the ability to get lots of Elemental Overloads on your Lightning Bolt. This build, like, just has it all. It really feels fun to play. Lots of instant procs, which means you're flexible to move around. And as a caster, that's a really big deal, being able to move around while you're casting. So I love this build, guys. I really, really do love it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about Elemental Shaman? Have any of you guys picked it up and tried it so far? I did test this build out back in the beta, but it feels better now on the live game for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but I'm really loving it. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it in the comments down below. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.